Why active listening is essential. In today's fast-paced world, where everyone is constantly occupied with their own thoughts and concerns, the simple act of truly listening to someone has become rare and incredibly valuable. Reflecting on this, there's an age-old saying that reminds us, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so you can listen more and speak less. This principle, grounded in both everyday wisdom and Buddhist teachings, holds the potential to transform our relationships and interactions with others. Active listening is more than just hearing words. It is about being fully present and engaged in what the other person is saying. Whether in personal relationships, at work, or in casual interactions, developing the art of listening can dramatically enhance how others perceive you and how they connect with you. In this article, we'll explore the wisdom of Buddhist practices related to listening, real-world examples of its impact, and actionable steps you can take to become a better listener. By the end, you'll understand why listening is a core aspect of empathy and compassion, and how it can lead to deeper, more meaningful relationships. The power of active listening in relationships. One of the most common complaints people have in their relationships, whether personal or professional, is that they feel unheard. Many visitors to Buddhist temples express frustration about their family or colleagues not paying attention to them. They say, "No one is listening to me." The reason for this is often not a lack of care, but a lack of attention. People may be distracted by their own thoughts, preoccupied with their responses, or simply impatient. Buddhism teaches that being truly present with others is a form of compassion. When someone listens deeply, they provide a space where the speaker feels valued and understood. One of the fundamental teachings of the Buddha is the importance of listening with mindfulness, paying full attention without immediate judgment or response. Buddha's example of listening. Buddha himself exemplified this in many of his interactions. One notable instance is when a man came to Buddha and began insulting him. Instead of reacting or defending himself, Buddha simply listened attentively, showing that he could withstand the verbal assault without losing his composure or compassion. In another case, a grieving woman came to Buddha after her child had died. Buddha didn't offer immediate solutions or advice. Instead, he listened to her pain, allowing her to express her suffering fully. These examples from Buddha's life illustrate that listening is not about fixing problems right away. It's about offering presence and understanding. Listening with compassion opens up a channel for deeper human connection, something sorely needed in today's disconnected world. Practical steps to improve listening. 1. Mindful awareness. According to Buddhist teachings, every word we speak is pre-processed in our minds. Therefore, the practice of mindfulness, being aware of our thoughts before we speak, can help control our urge to respond impulsively. This practice, called Chittanopassana, involves simply sitting quietly and observing our thoughts without reacting to them. By doing this regularly, we become more aware of when to speak and when to stay silent. For example, if you're having a conversation and feel the urge to interrupt, take a moment to observe that thought. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say truly necessary right now, or can I continue to listen? 2. Listening without judgment. Another key aspect of active listening is avoiding the tendency to listen only to respond. Too often, we listen to others with the intent to offer advice or express our own opinions, rather than simply trying to understand. The next time you have a conversation, remind yourself to listen with the goal of understanding the person's situation, rather than formulating a response. Let's consider a workplace scenario. Suppose a colleague comes to you, expressing frustration about a project. Instead of immediately jumping in with your suggestions, ask follow-up questions. Can you tell me more about what's troubling you? Or, how did you feel when that happened? This not only shows that you're paying attention, but it also helps the other person feel valued. 3. Engage with curiosity. After someone has finished speaking, it can be helpful to ask questions that encourage them to elaborate. Questions like, what happened next? Or, how did you manage to deal with that? Show that you are genuinely interested in their experience. This technique not only deepens the conversation, but also strengthens the relationship. 4. Empathy through silence. Silence is a powerful tool in communication. When someone shares something deeply personal or emotional, sometimes the best response is no response at all. Simply being present in that moment, offering a kind and understanding silence, can communicate empathy far more effectively than words ever could. For instance, in moments of grief or sorrow, like the story of the woman grieving the loss of her son, being a silent, compassionate presence can be far more healing than offering advice or trying to fix the situation. Real-life application of active listening. Active listening is a skill that can transform not only personal relationships, but also professional ones. In leadership, for example, the ability to listen attentively to employees fosters trust and increases productivity. Take, for instance, a manager who holds regular check-ins with their team but focuses solely on giving directions rather than hearing their concerns. Compare this to a manager who takes the time to ask open-ended questions, listens intently to feedback, and genuinely considers what their team has to say. The second manager is far more likely to cultivate a loyal and motivated team. In family life, too, listening actively to children, partners, or parents can prevent misunderstandings and foster a sense of closeness. When a child comes home from school upset and instead of offering solutions, the parent simply listens and acknowledges their feelings, the child feels supported and understood. This builds a strong emotional bond and encourages open communication. The benefits of active listening. At its core, active listening is about presence, empathy, and understanding. It is about putting the other person first and setting aside our own thoughts and judgments for a moment. By practicing this skill, not only will people begin to like and trust you more, but you'll also find that your relationships become richer and more meaningful. To cultivate the art of active listening, remember these key points. Be mindful of your thoughts before speaking. Listen to understand, not to respond. Ask questions that encourage deeper sharing. Use silence as a tool to communicate empathy. In the words of Buddha, a good listener is one who allows others to speak freely, without interruption, and with full attention. By embracing this principle, you can transform not only how others perceive you, but also how you connect with the world around you. Incorporate active listening into your daily life, and you'll soon notice the profound impact it has on your relationships. Start with small steps. Focus on truly listening in your next conversation, and watch as people respond with warmth, openness, and appreciation.